In the history of Hollywood, there are directors who want to be loved. And then there is James Cameron. He doesn't want your love, he wants your fear, and he wants your perfection. They call him Iron Jim, but behind his back, the crews call him a warlord, a tyrant, a madman. He is the man who created Avatar and Titanic, the two biggest movies in history. But the cost of those masterpieces wasn't just money. It was sanity. He has physically fought his own cameramen. He has nearly drowned his actors. He has threatened to fire people for going to the bathroom. And on one terrifying night in 1996, his entire crew was poisoned with hallucinogenic drugs in an act of revenge that remains unsolved to this day. Is he the greatest director alive, or is he a monster? To understand the madness, we have to go back to the beginning. Before the billions, when he was just a truck driver with a nightmare. 1981, Rome. A 27-year-old James Cameron is broke. He has been hired to direct a garbage B movie called Piranha 2: The Spawning. It was supposed to be his big break. Instead, it was a trap. The Italian producer, Ovidio Assanitis, didn't want a director. He wanted a puppet. He banned Cameron from the editing room. He locked the doors. Most people would have quit. James Cameron committed a crime. He was living on a friend's couch, starving, but every night he snuck back to the studio. He used a credit card to shimmy the lock on the editing room door. He spent weeks breaking in at night, secretly recutting the movie to make it better, then sneaking out before dawn. It was during this time, alone in Rome, sick with a high fever and starving, that he had a dream. He saw a chrome skeleton emerging from a fire. It was dragging itself across the floor with kitchen knives. He woke up sweating. He drew it on a notepad. He called it the Terminator. He took that drawing to Hollywood. Every studio loved the idea. They wanted to buy it. But they had one condition. We will buy the script, but you cannot direct it. You have no experience. James Cameron was living in his car. He had no money for food. He looked at the producers and said no. He eventually sold the rights to the Terminator for $1 on the condition that he got to direct it. It was the biggest gamble in Hollywood history. And it created a monster. Because once he got power, he never let it go. By 1985, Cameron was in England filming Aliens. And this is where the legend of Iron Jim was born. The British crew at Pinewood Studios hated him. They thought he was a rude, arrogant American. They had a strict union rule, the tea break. Every day at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., a lady with a tea trolley would roll onto the set. It didn't matter if they were in the middle of a perfect take. It didn't matter if Sigourney Weaver was screaming in terror. When the tea lady appeared, the lights turned off. The crew walked away. Cameron exploded. One day, in a rage, he reportedly attacked the tea trolley. He threatened to flip it over. The crew mutinied. They walked off the job. It was total war. Cameron fired the assistant director. He operated the camera himself. On the last day of filming, he gathered the crew and said, "The only thing that kept me going was knowing that one day I would drive out the gate of Pinewood and you sorry bastards would still be here." If Aliens was a war, his next movie, The Abyss, was a torture chamber. Cameron decided to film underwater. Real water, millions of gallons in an abandoned nuclear reactor tank. He pushed the actors to the breaking point. He forced them to hold their breath for minutes at a time. He filmed in total darkness. The lead actor, Ed Harris, was so traumatized that one night driving home, he pulled his car over to the side of the highway and just burst into uncontrollable sobbing. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, the lead actress, stormed off the set screaming, "We are not animals," after Cameron made her wet herself for a resuscitation scene. But the person who almost died was Cameron himself. During a deep dive, Cameron's air tank ran dry. He was 30 feet down. He signaled his safety diver. The diver swam over and shoved a regulator into Cameron's mouth. But it was broken. It was a safety regulator that hadn't been checked. Instead of air, it pumped a gallon of dirty tank water into James Cameron's lungs. He was drowning. He began to convulse. The safety diver, seeing him struggle, thought Cameron was panicking. He did what he was trained to do. He held Cameron down. He wrestled the director to the floor of the tank to stop him from shooting to the surface and bursting his lungs. Cameron later said he saw the lights fading. He knew he was about to die, so he turned into an animal. He punched the safety diver square in the face. He knocked the man back, kicked free, and rocketed to the surface, gasping for air. He fired the diver that night. And the next morning, he put the suit back on and went back into the dark. King Titanic. It was the most expensive movie ever made, and it was a disaster waiting to happen. The press called it Cameron's folly. They wanted him to fail. The stress on set was toxic. Cameron was screaming at everyone. He allegedly threatened to fire anyone who took a bathroom break during the water scenes. Kate Winslet, the star, caught pneumonia. She chipped a bone in her elbow. She admitted she was terrified of him, but the crew was plotting revenge. On the final night of shooting in Nova Scotia, the crew gathered for a midnight lunch. The menu? Clam chowder. It smelled delicious. Everyone lined up. James Cameron ate a full bowl, Bill Paxton ate two. 30 minutes later, the set turned into a horror movie. Bill Paxton remembered feeling anxious. He walked outside and saw a crew member arguing with a light stand. Inside the mess hall, people were crying. Others were laughing hysterically. James Cameron felt the walls closing in. He realized he had been drugged. He ran to his trailer and forced himself to vomit. It saved him from the worst of it. But the rest of the crew wasn't so lucky. 80 people were rushed to the hospital. The doctors didn't know what was happening. At the hospital, the crew formed a conga line in the hallway. They were singing. They were seeing monsters. The toxicology report came back. PCP, angel dust, a dangerous hallucinogen. Someone had spiked the soup. Cameron was convinced it was a targeted attack by a disgruntled crew member who wanted to see the Mad King lose his mind. The police investigated, but the phantom poisoner was never found. Cameron survived the poison. Titanic made billions. But he didn't stop. When he returned with Avatar, the technology had changed, but the Tyrant hadn't. Rumors swirled that he kept a nail gun on set. Actor Sam Worthington confirmed it. He said if a cell phone rang during a take, ruining the focus, Cameron would grab the nail gun and nail the phone to the wall above the exit sign. A trophy. A warning. He demands perfection because he believes he is the only one who sees the future. He has journeyed to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, alone, in a tiny metal sphere. He has built worlds that don't exist. He is a man who cannot be satisfied with reality. Is he a madman? Yes. Is he a genius? Undoubtedly. He pushes humanity forward, kicking and screaming. And he proves that sometimes, to create a dream, you have to put your crew through a nightmare. Next time on Global Gossips, we leave the deep ocean for the happiest place on Earth. Walt Disney. You know the mouse. You know the magic. But did you know the man behind the castle was a secret FBI informant? For 25 years, he reported his own Hollywood friends to the government. And then, there's the final mystery. What is really stored in the cryogenic labs of Arizona? Is the creator of Mickey Mouse dead? Or is his head frozen, waiting for the technology to wake him up? Walt Disney, The Spy in the Ice. Subscribe so you don't miss the truth.